Thank you for tuning in to Catching Up With. And today I'm featuring one of my former high school students. It's been 5 years since he's graduated college. It's almost 10 years since he's graduated high school. I've known him since he's been 14 years old. He has done some really cool things in his very, I wouldn't say short life, but in the time span that he's been on this earth. If you are a travel enthusiast, educator, a student, a mentor, a mentee, chime in. He's going to be dropping some gems as we chat. So I want to welcome to the stage Allan. Allan, how was that?
That was good. That was good. I like that one.
Awesome. Allan, thank you for joining me today and catching up with. I'm so super excited because you have done a lot of cool things. And one of the things that I definitely want to highlight is just kind of how diverse you are in terms of what you study, in terms of education, your interests, your travel. So let's just get into it. So you have graduated. I've known you since you've been 14 years old. And I'm just now figuring out it's almost 10 years since high school graduation. How do you feel about that?
It's it's weird. I think looking back, I never thought I'd be this far, but I also I remember hearing the stories about it. People still are like now that are high school reunions and things, and I was like, wow, we're reaching the point where I actually have one of those.
Oh my God. Are y'all going to have a 10-year reunion?
We should. We were supposed to have a 5 year one, but it was COVID.
Oh, COVID just bums out everybody. But the 10-year one should be exciting.
Yeah.
Which
It'd be
I
more so because it'll be the first time everybody's seen each other.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And can you tell me what's so unique about your high school? Me understanding your high school, I thought it was so super cool. Can you tell me like the premise behind it? You guys were able to do some really cool things there.
Yep.
As stu-
So I went to Chicago High School for Agricultural Sciences, which primarily used vocational education as a secondary form of teaching outside of your traditional like core curriculum. So I had like a typical biology course and chemistry, um, you know, the algebra two, pre-calc, but I also had courses like intro to finance and um, horticultural sciences and landscape architecture and intro to mechanics and technology and animal science and things like that. And I kind of got a chance to explore mm, not only the standard core curriculums, the way that most schools kind of follow it, but also getting to go into it in an applicational manner, in which you can see all the way that things are applied into the agricultural field, for example, but also like
Mhm.
kind of more general things in life.
Did that have you selecting that school in Chicago? Did that have any significance on your interest in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math?
I think so. I did want to be an engineer, and I think my 13-year-old self was definitely like, this is the place I could do it at. And then having the access to like, the wood shop and auto space, I think just kind of built the excitement up for me and like kind of was like, yeah, like traditional high school is cool and all, I mean, it was, a good time, whatever. But at the same time, like getting a chance to have the freedom to do some of these things that, knowing I had the space, I had the resources to do that I think I was always super interested in, but just never had the opportunity to do. Kind of really set it up even better.
That's awesome. And so, one thing I want to talk to you about is as you were approaching the final years of your high school, your junior year, senior year, I noticed that you got super serious about applying for schools, and let's talk about scholarships. You got two very prestigious scholarships, and that is fantastic. Can you tell me, how did you go about getting those scholarships? Maybe someone that's looking for an opportunity to get scholarships as the ones that you've gotten, you can kind of drop some gems on us about that. Can you tell me about those two? That's probably not all that you've gotten, but can you tell me how you went about achieving that goal of getting two full boat rides?
So, okay, so the first one was Quest Bridge. I think it started my junior year. I was a Quest finalist for their college tours, and so I think at the time I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I was excited to see schools and trying to take every college trip I wanted. And I think a lot of it was in my own way, figuring out where I wanted to be more than what I wanted to do. And I really thought about, yeah, I want to leave the city, I want to leave the state, I want to go find a new place and just explore. And I think that was really supposed to be the goal of that. And so Questbridge kind of turned into um, having like explaining my story about the ability to do that, and just having the chance to do that, and to applying for the actual scholarship, which um, is the match Questbridge match program, and then which you picking schools based on like the majors you're looking at and the classes you want to do, and the places you want to go, and you rank them and then like apply to those all at once. And in this kind of like mm, shotgun manner, they like send them all to the same schools, and everybody has to pick, and they're like picking students up here and there. And I got matched for the University of Chicago, and then um, that which I eventually would go on to do. And then the other scholarship was the Chick Evans um, Caddy Scholarship, which um, I worked on. I worked at a Homewood Flossmoor golf course for, I think at that point it was 3 years, and just doing every day, trying to get out and have a good round, and help golfers, and do things that were necessary on a golf course to kind of ensure that they have a great time. And so I think just like generally just keeping my head hardworking, and keeping my head down and kind of working at it um, really cemented my ability to put my application in for that. And my manager and my course were super supportive. When I filled out my application, and you go and do an interview, and the interview is like kind of like a sports broadcast. Like you stand behind a podium, and they like sit in a crowd full of people, and they just ask questions. And you just kind of have to roll with it, and like you don't know what questions there are, no one knows what questions there are, so it's just like you're just taking questions and just answering. And I think um while I don't remember any of the questions and definitely blacked out in the moment, um I did well enough to get offered one to the University of Illinois in Urbana. And so I think for me then it was just like, what do I want to do more? Where do I want to go more? And figuring out the difference between the two of like what I really wanted to like take on and go with. But I think the whole time, a lot of it was just like doing work and doing extracurriculars and just exploring options and doing things I wanted to do. And then just kind of being able to be like, hey, I've always had this like energy to want to do this, but I just never had the like resources or the space to do it. And kind of making that the framework for like what where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do.
So you selected.
I was selected to attend the University of Chicago, um, and while I did start off in a more STEM-based degree, I ended up in the humanities, and I got a degree in visual arts and comparative race and ethnic studies.
I can totally see that, because you have so many different interests. And I think that's what kind of brought us together. We met underneath a different teen volunteer program, and you were a participant in that program, and you were a leader in that particular program. Like, phenomenal. One thing I thought was super neat that you always had something going on. And I forgot to mention you were an Eagle Scout.
Yes,
So amongst all of this, you became an Eagle Scout on top of all of that.
yes, yes. That was right before my 18th birthday, which was coming down to the wire. So as soon as I think I finished my Eagle Scout project that spring and had like one more merit badge to finish and went off to camp to go do that. So, splitting my summers up between caddying, going to camp, going to college tours. I was a lot doing, it was a lot of doing stuff.
What do you like most about being a Boy Scout slash Eagle Scout?
Um, I used to really enjoy all the camping trips and going outdoors. I think a lot of that feels kind of still ingrained. And I think whenever anything from like sitting in the backyard to going on like full like middle of a park kind of camping trips, I think it's been really cool to like see the skills never go away. As little as I think about it now, I think it's really funny because we'd be like, you know, entering campsites, you know, scouts have always had this kind of weird like, you ask for permission to do things and like, I would never have thought that it would come back up in my mind until, I'm entering a campground and then I just kind of say it and like the other scout troops that are there like no, like, oh yeah, that's a scout, that's a former scout right there. And my mind is like, uh I didn't even remember I remembered that. Like I didn't think that would come back up, but I'm glad it's like little things like that that just kind of come up in the woodwork. Tying knots, you know, I don't remember how many times I've practiced knots, but like now I just kind of do them, and it's like riding a bike, but constantly little like service projects and things like that.
Yes, and speaking of service projects, not only did you have Boy Scout going on and all these additional things in your high school, and you're part of those things, but you were also part of, giving back to the community and exploring STEM and talking to people about STEM, small children, getting them motivated. What I took away from just our relationship in that particular space, even with you being a student and I'm the educator, right? Here I am looking at someone that is motivated and excited to do and explore what they want to do. And that's the one of the biggest takeaways I took from that was, you know, you are always supposed to still have passion and continue to explore and figure out what you want to do. It's not too late. If you like something, pick it up and try it and see if you like it even more. And so that's one of the things that I got from you. And then your friendship and your loyalty. That was another. I noticed how you made relationships. And I said, wow, you communicated, you made people feel good, you had good jokes. And then those that you like most, you gave them a hard time. So sometimes they'll be like, oh, Alan's giving me a hard time. I said, oh, that's because he cares about you the most. And that's kind of like how I am. If I give you a hard time, I kind of care a lot about you. So that's another one of the takeaways was your friendship and your loyalty and how it was undeniable. And I will say, as the years have progressed and you graduated, you've taken me along your life journey, and I'm still in your life. And I really, really appreciate the friendship, the loyalty, and just how our relationship has transitioned. And I can depend on you. You're so dependable. And for people to say when they talk about the youth that you cannot, depend, and sometimes you get these negative connotations because you're like a millennial, but I'm telling you, You bring out some good boomer qualities in your early life, but it's just a joy, and I'm just so excited that you still take me along the way. Um, what I wanted to ask is, did you have any takeaways from our relationship? Well, our relationship.
I think I did. I think constantly being an educator, even when I'm not in front of a booth. I think watching you, like, you know, come in and every time, like, rallying troops, getting all these, high school kids who do not want to be awake at 9 a.m., in this building, like, full of stuff going on constantly. And I think just watching you kind of get us together and, like, remind us, this isn't about how you feel right now, but like the education of seeds are planning for the next generation. And I think a lot of that is just kind of how I started trying to go about a lot of the projects I do, and just kind of being like, like, even if it's like just a moment, a little piece of it, a little project, you're changing their entire perspective on things. And like, you're ingraining them with the new piece of knowledge and things like that. And I think it kind of really transcends science and even more into just like every little nugget of like knowledge and life. And so I think that's really stuck out to me always, to be like, how to take things and how to run with them, and not to be afraid to um, highlight those things for students and highlight those things for my peers and things like that. Even other adults, I currently am doing a lot of supporting work, so I think it's just always been a lot of like, what I like may know, I have to just share. Just getting people to like learn new things constantly, and helping them become excited to learn new things even when they're not.
I will say you are definitely a lifelong learner, and every time we're together, I bring it out of you. Like, sometimes you're just like, "Let's just talk about," I'm like, "No, let's talk about some stuff that you're learning," and then you just spark, and then you tell me all of the good things. One thing that I think is super cool is you traveling abroad. So, can you tell me about the places you've traveled abroad and the experiences that you've taken away from traveling abroad?
Mhm. I think I've been to approximately 10, maybe 11 countries now. And I think a part of traveling abroad for me is constantly just being like open to the experiences, open to the new ways of life and the way, cultures kind of meet, and, exploring some portion of something that's new to me. And so um, I think my longest and most major travels were, I went to Italy, I went to Rome to do my master's. I went to Senegal to do a study abroad program. Um, and just like kind of, I got my first international trip was in high school, and so I think then the travel bug kind of just really showed its roots, and ever since then, I think I've been always just really like excited to go places. And so getting up and deciding, in the middle of the pandemic, I was like, I need to go. I need to go somewhere. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know where I'm gonna go, but we are going to, get somewhere new and just like absolutely change the sphere of what I'm doing. And I think it was just like such an exhilarating moment to like just get up and just like, put it together. And, I don't think if I had told myself leaving undergrad that I would be leaving to go do my master's overseas, I would have believed myself, because I was already very set on not going to grad school. And, just like the change of circumstance like that just made that a whole different trip. And I think, you know, making the space around it, a whole new piece of it, and just having a chance to enjoy a new world while I was at it, just really made it a much more exciting trip.
Wow. So what was your favorite location? What was your favorite location?
Um, I think I'm between London and Prague. Prague is beautiful in this like very old style way, and I think a lot of it's like so much architectural work there, and like so much of preserved history that it's just such a beautiful place to me. And if I had a chance, I would definitely go back and go see the rest of it. I think I only really got to do like a couple tours of my own, and I'm a walker. I don't care about trying to figure out a tram. I don't care about figuring out a bus route. I will walk everywhere, and so I walked most of it. And just getting to walk around the city, you get to see a portion of it that you just can't see in a car. You can't see on a bus. You're moving so quickly, you don't really get to take it in. And I think I just really wanted to spend a lot of the time doing that. And then London, I've only seen the absolute ittiest bittiest part. And next time I go back, I have more trips and things to do. I have plenty of friends and family that are there, and so just getting to go and spend time with them and watching, go places that they love. Or these are like their daily visit. And to them, it's just a Tuesday, but to me, it's like this is a whole new world. Learning a whole new place and getting used to it. And so I think I really love that London never had anything that like just got stale to me. Like every time I went, something new, something more exciting, new events going on. There's always something going on. So I think that was really a big part of it for me. So I think that's definitely high on the list.
What about you mentioned Senegal, which I think is super fantastic. You were able to touch down on the continent and live. Can you tell me about your experience? Like, what is a big takeaway that you took from Senegal?
Um, I think from Senegal, I took a lot of my experience there was really new for the first time. As So one thing I did have in Senegal was I didn't have a phone plan, and so a lot of it was either keeping in touch with people or getting to really know the land. And so of course Walker me um, mapped out a lot of where I was going, a lot of things of where I wanted to do really early on, and so learning a place from the geography, from the history, from the buildings and landmarks more so than looking at Google Maps every half a mile really kind of just made it a whole new world to me. And so, you can see the similarities of other places I've lived in it. I think it's funny because, in Chicago, the east is always the river or the lakefront. And so, you're always like to the east is the lake, there's a body of water. If you're getting that far, you know how far east you've gone. And I think for Senegal, to the west is the ocean, and so, you know, my entire guides of how to get around is the same. It's the same one I've been using since I started walking around Chicago, probably 10, 11. And so, just being like, oh yeah, like that's the ocean front. I know which way I'm going. And like just getting the directional abilities that, I'd already had kind of to see them evolve and be able to take on a new place. I think is definitely one part for me that I really loved about the place.
Did you travel to any other countries while you were there?
Yeah, I went to the Gambia. So the formerly um, British colony that is in Senegal, like surrounded by both the northern part of Senegal and the southern part of Senegal, is the Gambia Republic, which is right along the river that stretches through there. And so I got to go down there with a couple friends and got to just kind of go around and see a different country, especially a lot of the area is a mix of languages now because while Senegal is a francophone country and previously, under French colonial rule, a lot of the Gambia is Anglophone, and so kind of seeing the mix of British, English, French, and like the native languages. So Olaf is a native tongue language that's spoken through much of both the regions and some of other countries within West Africa, and so just seeing the mix of blends of languages as they kind of get around and nobody's like hampering your language study. You're welcome to learn new words, and they like encourage you, and they're not judging your pronunciation of things, and so they're just really open to people taking in their languages and kind of being able to, really appreciate the cultures that are in everything.
Wow. You are so adventurous when it comes to travel. What's next on your list for travel?
Um, I don't know yet. I have to figure it out. I think I definitely want to go back to Europe. I want to do like one of those inner country trains and like
Mm.
probably go visit the Alps or something. Be riding around through the mountains. Um, I definitely want to go to Asia. I went to South Korea in high school. I do want to go back. I think it's a very different place as a student than it is as a adult, and I think definitely want to experience it as an adult. Especially, I have some memories of like things that I've seen and parts of the country, and my former host student, who still lives there, and just kind of going back to go see that and see what's changed since then and what's new. Um, I think I want to go to like Thailand or something, but it's all on the list. It's on the list.
It's on the list. Oh my goodness, it's on the list. It's gonna happen. I told anyone, they said, "Yeah, I went and travel with Allan." I go, "Do you know what that entails?" Um, Allan is no hold bars. You better get your I told him, "You better get your tennis shoes together.
Yes,
You better know y'all are not gonna be in a mall. You're gonna be exploring
yeah.
with
Do
probably
not
the map or without."
do not be afraid. We're going to stop at some places along the way. We may not get to our destination right away, but it's okay. We'll get there eventually. But I definitely love to like just see everything along the way. I think so much of my travels has definitely been like, the accidental finds, beautiful fountains in Italy that, I never thought I would ever see, only because I happened to walk past them, or, pieces of history that have withstood the test of time. And like, you get to see them because you're on foot, or you're wandering around and you're really taking in the sights and things like that versus, trying to just get somewhere and be like, oh yeah, like we're just gonna go straight there.
Right. And you do have a love for food. That's what your master's is in, correct?
Yeah, so food policy, with a focus on sustainability and consumption.
All right. What is your favorite dish?
My favorite dish to make myself or in general.
Your favorite dish to make for yourself?
My favorite dish I think to make for myself is probably a tie between a um, honey glazed salmon, with a side of broccolini,
Ooh,
or chicken vesuvio, which is a kind of like Chicago Italian Irish mix kind of dish, with a history of like being adapted for the new continent and like new ingredients. So I think those are very like it's very down to earth, very easy to make. But I think for me, it's like every time just being able to make them, it's been like a little touch of home, and just being able to like just to enjoy it.
and do you have a favorite dish that I've made?
I think you made the rice one. Oh, what is the rice called?
Oh, the shrimp sauce.
There's a
It's
rice alongside it.
it's a shrimp pallavi sauce.
Yeah, I
It's a
think that was
Ghanaian dish.
yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Actually, Charlie made that, so that's good. I kinda figured that was the top one. And what I love is I didn't notice this, but when we come together to have, our lunch, gatherings, Alan, you would be the first one. And I'm like, because Alan wants it hot, how Alan knows the good. He's like, "Look, I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna be"
A a great TV dad once said, "If you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time." And I have not been able to not live like that. So I've enjoyed being early everywhere I go, and I have no problem with it.
Can you give us one piece of advice in terms of food sustainability, sustaining food, something that would help us?
Mm, I think one piece of advice is investing in localized produce and localized gardens. Um, and I think um, supporting small scale agriculture and farmers that are depending on where you are, I mean, city or not city, rural, anywhere, there's always farmers making and creating and growing. I think definitely investing in them is just the wave of the future. No matter what, someone's got to grow it, someone's got to farm it, someone's got to harvest it, someone's got to, get it out to people. And I think no matter what, it'll always be necessary. And so I think just generally supporting and appreciating them for that work is definitely like a first step, that may look different for everyone. Um, some farmers, start a farmers market if it means, starting to shop at a farmers market more frequently and finding local farmers markets near you and supporting them that way. Other times, it could be a community agreement, community benefit, community beneficiary agriculture, I think, or something like that, community supported agriculture, in which, you're directly supporting a farmer in exchange. You're getting produce throughout the year, or you're getting products from the farm direct throughout the year. And I think both of those are just ways, the wave of the future in terms of sustainability is always going to be supporting farmers, um, trying to decentralize a lot of our bigger conglomerates of agricultural products, and just getting people the knowledge to create those communities of sustainability and communities of agricultural functions. I know, like in Chicago, there's a lot of people starting to move towards um, starting small scale farms, whether it's in their own backyards or like getting a plot of land as a group and starting a community farm. There's a lot of groups that have started growing vegetables for their communities, and they're just have a day where they distribute vegetables to the families in need. And a lot of it's just like people investing in other people and people investing in their own communities. And I think that's definitely just the way that we need to keep pushing and keep hoping for people to keep doing.
Nice. It's so amazing how you are just a hodgepodge of different things. You're like the jack of all STEM or STEAM. You have these natural abilities in tech. Then you went into food sustainability, then you went to visual arts. I mean, you kind of touched on all of the STEM components. And so as you've transitioned into the workforce, what industry are you actually in at the moment? Because you could do any of them.
So at the moment, I'm back in tech. I'm back in computer technology. I work as an IT analyst in troubleshooting like help desk support for the circuit court. So a lot of it is just making sure that nobody wants to go to court, but court is necessary. Court for so many various functions. It's a lot to upkeep, and so assisting clerks in keeping up their desk and keeping up the work that they are doing, everything from estates and wills to civil cases to anything you can think of that requires going before a judge. Helping to keep them flowing and keep them going. And so I think that's a lot of what I'm currently doing. And so I think I made my way back into tech more than I thought I would ever. But that's what comes with it. Keeping options open and keeping my mind open. So I think I just was like, like let's do it. I have the talent to do it. I've had the experiences and the skills that I've put together, and still learning, of course. So I think it was just like we can go for it. Let's try it.
You are kind of special because a lot of people run to tech. You're just like, no, tech is what I know I can do, but I'm going to try all this other stuff. And I'm like, but Alan, you're going to go back to tech. I know you're going to go back. And so you went back, but I think it's amazing. I think any field that you decide, I mean, you have the skills in all of those different pockets, which makes for a very adventurous, interesting life, which is you. Any other passions that you're thinking about pursuing in the future?
um, I mean, I hopefully one day I have a bed and breakfast like I want it. I don't know where it'll be. I have no idea what it looks like, but I think food will always be a big passion. But I don't know. I don't want a restaurant. Like that's a little different. And I think just something that seems a little scaled back, but like I get to embrace and like kind of do things that I have always wanted to do, which has always been like feeding people and then like, assisting people and housing people. And so I think, my little bed and breakfast, my little 2 unit, 3-story building or something would be very nice to have one day. And so I think I look forward to that. Um, I still make art. So I think, finding something to do that lets me have the spare time and the extra energy to be able to kind of get back into making art. I miss ceramics, but like it's time consuming. It's a lot of resources to put together, and I think right now is not the most ceramic friendly time of my life, but it's okay. And like one day I'll be back in it. One day I'll find a way to get back into the like having that free time and things to do.
Yeah, and you have to get you a kiln, right? You have to.
Um, Getting my personal kiln, a dream goal.
Right. Oh, mine too. Oh my goodness. If I could get a wheel and a kiln, oh my God. I'm doing big things. You'll see me at the farmer's market. Okay, so here's the deal. What is what is the one piece of advice that you have heard that you're kind of incorporating in your adult life? Like this is my jam.
Um, I think one piece of advice is definitely keeping an open mind. I think of everything I've ever done, especially not knowing exactly what I want to do, has definitely just been having an open mind and being open to just doing anything and kind of figuring out along the way.
Oh,
Um, I think opening your open mind to, you know, career paths is harder, is easier said than done. And definitely like, having the ability to be like, well, eventually I want to go back into law, or eventually I want to go into finance. And it's like, you know, well, is it your mental ideal of law? Is it a courtroom and you're a lawyer and you're just helping one client, or is it an idea that you need legal paperwork for starting anything, and what does that look like? And maybe you end up being a farmer for or a lawyer for farmers, and or being like a lawyer for goods and services, and what does that look like and things like that. And so I think, yeah, definitely keeping an open mind, keeping your options open, and just kind of taking in everything, every chance you can. And of course, there'll come down to times you have to make a decision and do one thing or the other. And, just taking it as a challenge to be able to be like, you know, if I do one now, I'll definitely try and do the other in the future, and like just kind of get as much under your belt and experience as possible.
awesome. I can see that totally. You go into law, I'm gonna be like, you have it all. All you need is go to medical school and we're done. We're
I hope I
done.
don't go to medical school.
Yeah. So what do you think was interesting to me is to kind of see how you have just evolved, right? And you have these nuggets and then you have these perspectives and then sometimes they evolve. And I love your stances on things because just like I think it was, I don't know, I can't quote, but if you have to stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
Mhm.
I want to know what has really contributed to your internal motivation, because all of this drive is intrinsic. Every single thing you do.
I think one thing that's definitely contributed is just having opportunities for people, and being able to reach back and do things. I don't think I've been able to do anything ever without somebody looking out, or somebody having a chance to give me advice, or supporting my dreams. Even going to Rome was literally fundraising for it, and getting people together who supported the idea of me going to grad school, just to get there. And I think some part of it for me has always been, give back 100 times what's given you. And I've had a plethora of mentees. I've had a number of programs that I've spoken in front of, and been a part of panels and things like that. And I think I've always just a part of me has always just found it as a reason to keep giving back. I've had a chance to do a lot of things. I've had a chance to experience a lot of things, and the only way people after me can have that same opportunity is definitely just getting them in the door. And, you tell them the errors and the reviews, and you tell them, all the mistakes along the way, of course. And I think a part of that is just giving them a glimpse into a lot of their own opportunities and their own experiences that they can have one day. They'll shape it and they'll give it on to the next person. I think that's a big stance of what I like to do.
Wow. I can totally see that. And when my science camp breaks ground, we're definitely flying you to this. You are definitely going to be what do you call that when you have the drop-in professors? You're gonna be the resident
not
professor or
not a
two.
guest speaker.
Yes, not a guest speaker, but like the professor resident. Like I'm gonna, you have so many different talents, so you could choose food sustainability, tech, I mean, art, any of those things. I would love for you to bless the students that will be part of the camp. So I'm so super excited because you have such a passion for giving back. All right, I'm going to throw a word out there and you'll tell me a word that describes or resonates with you when I say that word, okay?
Okay.
Parents,
Role models.
travel,
Doorway.
tech,
Future.
cars,
Old fashioned.
food,
Cultures.
STEM,
Math.
Senegal,
Dakar.
Italy,
Pizza.
Chicago.
Home.
All right, friendship.
Integral.
Yay. All right. You survived 100%. Okay. Allan, my last question for you. What do you look forward to in the future?
In the future, um, I look forward to it. I feel like once I finish having a regular job for 20 something years, I think I will just have so many adventures in retirement. I think I had a former teacher in high school who retired from his former work life to become a teacher, and I used to think about how much that would be my goal, after I finish all these experiences and have all this lore to my background and things like that. I would just go back and be like a little teacher for some little high school course, and the students would enjoy the course so much that one day they just start asking questions, and next thing you know they're like, well, how did you do all these things? And then now all of a sudden you're just a teacher. Like, what is this? And I think I can't wait to have those moments. So I think for me, it's I really look forward to just being able to be the little random old man that's just kind of around and have all these random life experiences and things that he's done that everyone's just in absolute awe about.
And you know what's interesting about that? We do call you grandpa of the group. So you're like grandpa in a young man's body already. Allan, it's been so fantastic catching up with you. You've dropped so many gems, and I just look forward to catching back up with you again. Thank you so much for always having me in your life. I've watched you evolve. I can't wait to see even bigger things. And also you coming into my science camp. For those of you that are watching, thank you so much. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel. And this is our episode of Catching Up with Allan. See you
Thank
later.
you.
All right.